Hi, I'm Greg Jones, and I want to talk to you about something called the CAGED system. This is a system that is really logical and easy to understand, that will just unfold the guitar fretboard for you to understand chords, all your options for the chords, and be a mental framework for thinking about lead guitar and scales and intervals as well. So it's an idea where if I see a C chord in a chord chart, I know all my options for C. I can play it here, open, there, bar, here, and there. So I have 5 places for a major chord. And 3 places for most minors. So the first thing I'll show you, and this really helps you also with bar chords, is the way we make bar chords. And if you already know bar chords, don't tune me out here yet necessarily, because you might have not learned what I'm getting ready to share. You can take any chord you can play in the open position, like this E major. I can re-finger it to free up my index. Same chord. My index is going to cover whatever strings I have are open. So 6 strings open in this case, and first and second. So my index goes there. By the way, it doesn't go there. Some people do that. It goes there, above the nut of the guitar. Then I'm going to move the chord up. If this is new to you, move it to the middle of the fretboard as a good place to start, 5th to 7th position. So I'll do these at the 5th position. So there's an E-shaped bar chord, okay? And that is, it's not an E chord anymore, it's E-shaped. That lowest string, lowest note, tells me the name of the chord. That's an A, 5th position. So it's A major compared to A open A, okay? So if you know bar chords, you probably know that one. And the A-shaped bar chord, there's an A-shaped, which you play, again, the same idea with open A. I'd re-finger it to free up my index, bar, there's more than one way to finger this thing, and move it up, okay? Right, like that, however you want to finger it, okay? But you can do this, the point is, you can do this with any chord. So D major, and D major, I'd re-finger it. I only have one note that's open, so I don't even have to bar it, but I have to cover that note. And then move it up. So 5th position, it's F, G. The 2 chords that people neglect if they don't learn the CAGED system and learn bars is the C and the G. Here's a C chord. I'm going to re-finger it, free the index up, cover the opens, which is 3rd fret down, and move it to, say, the 5th position. We're going to do an F chord because of that 8th fret A string. For this, okay? And then finally G is a hard one, the hardest one. Here's the open G. I'm playing it with the D covered on the B. Some people play it open. It's not a bad G either, but I like it as well. Re-finger it so that index is free, and bar. Now when I play this one, it's going to be tougher to play at 5th position. It's a C, by the way. Whoops. There we go. I've noticed when I play this chord that I automatically, naturally mute the 5th string. Maybe if your hands are bigger and fingers are longer, you don't do that. But don't, if that's the case, that's okay. Don't sweat it. Freeze up a finger with that 5th string muted. It sounds fine, okay? You can do what we just did with any chord you can play in the open position. So, as an example, here's an E chord. It's a C add or C major with a flat 5. Okay, it's also called a C sharp 4, I think. What if I took that, re-finger it, free the index, cover whatever's open, and move it? So, see? Or if I took like my open C, or like I like to take open C chord, move it up 2 frets, right? Okay. What if I re-finger that, free up the index, have the index cover the opens? Now that's a stretch here, but as I move it up, the stretch is less. So I'll move it up, and it might be a chord I can play. Like. So you can do this with any chord. So keep that in mind, and that will unlock your doors. Every time you find an E chord in open position, you can take it and re-finger it, free the index, move everything up. Now, you can do this with minors also, E minor, A minor, D minor. I'm not going to go through them all, but here's the CAGED system now. we're going to spell the word caged as we move up the fretboard. So starting with C chord, you can do this with any chord, but we'll start with C. This is the letter C. Right here, I'm going to call that the bottom of my chord. It's the part closest to the bridge. That third fret position is where I'm going to start my next chord shape. And that shape is going to be the next letter in the word cage. So since this is C shape, there's going to be an A shape starting here at the third fret, okay, which is this. G shape starting here. See what's happening? I keep wanting to play the wrong string. E shape here, 8th fret. D shape here at the 10th. When I start over, I'm starting the word caged over because that's D. My temptation is to start here at the 13, and that would be wrong. I have to subtract the fret to start the word over. So not here, it's here. Okay? That's caged. That's all it is. Let's try it in the middle of the word, because like a G chord would be at the G of caged, okay? This confuses people sometimes. On G, the next letter is E, because this is a G chord. See, I'm not starting on C. So G chord connects to the E shape, next to the D shape, etc. C shape, A shape, and move these up. So practice doing what you see me do. For minor chords, let's start with an A minor. For minors, there are only 3 positions and there are 2 holds. So like the next shape would be a G shape, but there's no G minor, right? You only play G major when you play open. So what you have to do instead is you, at the second position, will play a G shaped, but it's major, okay? And I won't actually play it. I just mentally, this is my placeholder, okay? My placeholder so that I can find the next position for the next possible candidate shape, which would be E, okay? E would work, but G does not. See, there's no C and there's no G-shaped minors. So basically, we can only do D, E, and A shapes. So I always call D, E, and A the trinity of caged. They're the 3 elite of caged. You can do more with those 3 shapes. That's why D, E, and A shaped bar chords are the most common ones and more popular. People like to play them because they sound a little better, especially for power, like rock distortion, and the voicings, they like them and they're easier to finger. So anyhow, for A minor is a G shape that I'm going to have to skip, but you can just placeholder it like that, and then go to E shape. That'll work because that's in the trinity of D, E, and A. And then the next position would be D shape. I play a D shape minor. And then the C shape is going to be invalid also. So it's because it's got to be a D, E, and A. So I'll just visually, I'll have a placeholder here so that I can find my next valid position, which is at the 12. See, so there's 3 shapes for minors, and I just mentally have placeholders with the C and G shapes, laying them down just so that I can find the next position. Okay, now, so you practice this going up and down like you just saw me do. Another way to practice is take a song that you don't have to think about. I'll take a very, very, very easy song, which would be... Hey, right? What I like about you. Take a song like that. It's mindless, so you don't have to think about it, okay? E, A, and D. All right? So you probably always, if you played this song, you play in the open position all the time, right? So take that song and play it in barred positions. So I'm going to translate the E to the next position. And I'm going to play everything at the second position if I can, okay? So my E goes there, my A, I got to find my A, and then my D. Okay? So I learned it at the second position. I'm having trouble because they're kind of hard to finger. And I would never play it this way, ultimately, but it's a good practice thing for you just to learn your chords in the CAGED system, and you're still having fun because you're playing songs. Then take the 5th position, do the same thing. So it was E, right? Yeah. So E, A. God, I lost it. I gotta practice this myself, right? C shape, the A shape, or E shape, and the A shape. So that's another way to practice it. How is this useful? Well, when you have a chord chart and you see a chord, now you know all your options on the fretboard. So if it says D, and this D doesn't sound right to you, it might be because the musician was playing another voice D. That one sounds pretty similar, but maybe they were adding that note on it, which for first string. Or maybe they were doing this D, and they had this note on top, okay? Also, chords are derived from these shapes. Other chords are. Maybe partial chords. For instance, maybe somebody took the G shape, which is not the funnest chord to play, as we said earlier, for bar. Maybe they only played the top 4 strings of it. And they did. So I can only get that sound with part of the G shape. So I got to be able to my CAGED system and find that G shape for D major. Because it's D major, G shaped D major chord. The CAGED, I said, it helps you with scales too. For instance, when I play this typical pentatonic scale, everybody knows, guitarist knows if you've learned any leads. That A minor pentatonic, 5th position. I'm thinking of either an E-shaped bar chord at the 5th position, or I think of the relative major, if you know your music theory, it's C major, G-shaped C major. And that scale I played is outlined by these chords. Okay, in other words, your mind will be able to relate these chords to the scale shape, and you'll use them for visual reference. They're anchor points, mental scaffolding, if you will, to help you to, as you get better with the CAGED system, to see where the scales fit within them. So this helps you to help find your way around the fretboard better to play lead guitar. So if I'm in the key of A minor, I immediately, because I know this A minor chord for my bar as at the E-shaped bar, 5th position, I know where my pentatonic is that I mentally associate with that scale. Play today. Now I'm up. I'm like in this position, which is a 8th position, and thinking of the relative major E-shaped C chord. Again, I'm doing this really fast, but if this is new to you, you'll get fast at it, but you got to think about it. So this gives you a mental scaffolding, a framework for your leads, and it helps you find any chords you need to find. I said chords are derived from it. Let me give you an example. For instance, if we play the Jimi Hendrix chord, the E7 sharp 9, right? That chord is built on the C-shaped E major chord at the 4th position. Okay, it has modifications done to it. For instance, we put a 7th in it, and then we took this octave of 8 and moved it up to 9, which is and actually the sharp 9. So could play that at 9. So it's built on this C shape. You could also, by the way, think of it as an A shape. It's modified, okay? So I know that's a lot of mods, it's an extreme example, but the point is that, again, everything's derived from 5 chords. So if you really, really know these 5 chords in open positions, but also in the bars through the CAGED system, and I say 5, they're 5 major chords, they're 5 shapes. You could also think of them as 8 chords because there's 5 majors, 3 minors. If you know those chords, everything comes from them. So even though there are thousands of chords in the guitar and music, it all boils down to the 5 CAGED, C, A, G, E, D. All your scale shapes boil down to them as well. So it's not nearly as difficult as it might initially appear. So anyhow, wish you the best in your journeys on guitar. I am Greg Jones. Thank you for watching.